evening, everybody, and welcome to the Lehocky Eagles postgame show. I am Mike Misnelli with my partners, Derek Gunn, Seth Joyner, Devin Caney will join us later. All right, the Eagles win it 40-33, and I guess I can sum this up real easy. They blasted the Packers rushing the football. Jalen Hurts set a franchise record, and they had 4 TD drives in the first half. Let me just give you the rushing totals. The Eagles rushed for 363 yards tonight. Jalen with 157, Miles Sanders with 143 and 2 touchdowns. First time a running back quarterback tandem in the same game had 125 yards or more since Gore and Kaepernick way back in the day. They knocked Aaron Rodgers out of the game, and they were just completely dominant. It looked like a closer score than it really was. The Eagles had control of this game by just gashing them, guys.
You know, we said on the postgame show, if there was one Achilles heel on this Packers defense that has been plaguing them all season long was being able to defend the run. And the Eagles came out and took it to them. I mean, Jalen Hurts had 103 yards rushing on 7 carries in the first quarter alone. By halftime, they were putting up astronomical numbers. And, you know, they ran the ball 49 times. They should have ran the ball 60 times, Seth. They could have run for over 400 yards easy on this defense.
Listen, there was a lapse in there between the time when the Green Bay Packers tied the game up at 20-20 until I want to say halfway through, like 11 minutes left in the third quarter, where they threw something like 20 straight passes. They didn't even run the ball.
Why? Why?
I have no clue. I mean, I was just dumbfounded as I was charting these runs. These passes one by one, and I'm like, why are we just throwing the ball all over the place? And then all of a sudden, they get back to, running the ball, and they're dominant again. We talked about it in the pregame, okay? And John talked about it. John McMullen talked about it as well. We said, hey, listen, the Eagles know that they can rely on the run. When things are going awry, they know that they can go back and visit the run and get their offense back on track. And my question was, why not do that all the time?
Right. Right.
That should be your mode of operation. Now, I'm not happy to see Jalen Hurts take some of the hits that he took towards the end of the game.
Right.
But he is certainly a weapon that they have to utilize in their offense in order for their offense to thrive the way that they want it to thrive. And I get it. They want to get their passing game to where it's just as automatic as the run game. But I still contend that the best way to do that, D-Gun, is through running the football.
Yes.
Because when you play pass, when you bootleg, when you do anything off of that run action and you're coordinating it the right way, then you're going to be able to open up the rest of your passing game, in my opinion.
There's no question, Mike, that Jalen Hurts is the best overall athlete on this offense. But I've seen this time and time again, too many times. You run a quarterback too much, and then all of a sudden, he's sitting on the sidelines. That one hit he took in the fourth quarter where he sat down and the defender tackled him from the back and bent him over made me cringe just a little bit. But to be as effective as they have been as an offense, you have to utilize all of his attributes.
Listen, that's the downside of a quarterback running the football. But and Chris Collinsworth said it during the broadcast. In today's NFL, unless you're Mahomes or maybe Josh Allen, you need that skill set to succeed anymore.
That's
the
true.
way this league is
That
and the way how defenses are so fast and explosive that it's almost essential. The Eagles have that card now that a lot of teams want and are drafting.
I'm not going to go so far as to say that it's essential. It's a luxury to have, in my opinion. Because the way that the NFL develops quarterbacks now, if these guys don't get the development at the collegiate level, but they're great athletes, or they can throw the ball halfway decent, but they're really good with their legs like a Lamar Jackson, then guess what? They're going to bring them in. They're going to devise the offense to work around what they do. But what Jalen Hurts has done, what makes him a bit special and a bit different, is he came in last year and his passing game is what his Achilles heel was, okay? And he took it upon himself this past offseason to make that a strength. And because he's done that, now when everything else isn't working within the scheme of your offense, like when you want to run the ball and you're struggling to run the ball, or you want to pass the ball and you're struggling to pass the ball, the wild card that you got in your back pocket is to run the read option and have Jalen Hurts keep it. Or run. I mean, they ran a quarterback counter OT to the weak side tonight. And I'm looking at this like, that's the play that the Washington Redskins used to run to the strong side. Now they're running to the weak side, and they take the back, they send the back strong, and they pull two guards, that pull the backside guard and tackle to the weak side, and the quarterback keeps it and run. There's no defense for that play. But I'm telling you right now.
You know what, Mike, to pick up on something you said a moment ago, you mentioned two names, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, okay? And you look at the way they play the game too, they take off and run on any given moment. If you look at the better quarterbacks in the National Football League right now, they all have that ability to take off. Even Justin Herbert have that ability to take off and run.
The only difference is those quarterbacks are slightly more efficient at passing the football
Absolutely.
at this point in their career than Jalen Hurts is. Okay?
Yeah.
So now, they run out of necessity. The Eagles are using him as a weapon within the scheme of their offense.
Exactly, but then we go back to what Derek said, which is, like, do you really want to risk it that much? That hit he took to the back of the neck was kind of a frightening hit, and you just hope he lasts. He's strong enough to do it, believe me. You know, the funny thing about this game is Green Bay couldn't really do anything with him. They try to spy early. He defeated that. He's too strong. When you gather him in the pocket, he wriggles out. When you chase him down, he has a way of getting around that and making a play or throwing it away. I mean, he's oh my, do I say this? He's the ultimate weapon. Do we have to go back to number 12, right, where Jalen Hurts is now in that category?
Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you this. I'm impressed that the Eagles didn't disappoint. Okay, so they started off, you know, and we talk about this every single week. When you look statistically at the Green Bay Packers, this should have been the game plan. The Green Bay Packers are ranked 26th or 25th in the NFL against the run. They give 135 yards a game. So that told you right there that you could make hay against this football team running the football. Traditionally, what do the Eagles do? They come out and do the exact opposite. They tried it the first series of the game a little bit, okay? And then when things started going sideways a little bit, they locked in on the running game. When they realized that they could really dominate the line of scrimmage, they just dominated the line of scrimmage, not only with Miles Sanders, which I wanted to see them, you know, we talked about in the pregame. Why is he continuously disappeared, you know, from your offense when he is such a valuable weapon? So we saw him in action today, but we also saw, you know, Jalen Hurts be dynamic in a lot of ways. And I'm telling you, man, if they stick to this formula right here and they can stay healthy, it's going to be hard for anybody to beat them.
What did I tell you on the pregame show? If I had my way, I would have had the Eagles run the ball 75% of the time tonight. You know, they ran it 49% compared to what, 28 passes. And you look at some of the throws Jalen had to make when he had to make them. He made some great throws, especially that touchdown, the back shoulder touchdown to Quez Watkins. They could have put this game away before halftime if they wanted to. You know, and they let Green Bay stay in the game.
Yeah, no, they did. But here, the turning point was that touchdown before the half, and then they got the ball on their first possession and scored that touchdown. Those two touchdowns sandwiched around halftime really, to me, were the key, but especially that touchdown right before the half. That was really important to go into halftime with a 27-20 lead. And they kind of let the Packers hang around. It was funny because when Rodgers goes out of the game and poor Jordan Love goes in, we were afraid for the guy.
Right.
We were scared to death for the kid.
Why?
Well, because he had to throw. You're saying that because you know that Gannon wasn't good at putting pressure on him, right?
I just wanted to know why. Because the mindset was, oh, we got a young quarterback in the game now. You know, we can come after him and apply pressure. Well, hell, he hadn't done that all year against all the backup quarterbacks and all the second-string quarterbacks and all the first-year quarterbacks that we've seen this year. He hadn't done that against any of those guys. You expect for him to open up the blitz vault and come after Jordan Love just because Aaron Rodgers is there? It ain't ever going to happen, man.
Yeah. Can we keep this first segment positive before we get
to
Jonathan Gannon?
Okay,
because we got plenty to say about Jonathan Gannon's scheme in this game.
So let me ask you the question, D-Gun.
Yes,
okay,
yes.
If you tell him the truth, is it negative?
No, it's not. But
Okay, then. So we keeping it positive.
Well, my point was that I thought the kid was in a really precarious spot there where he was going to have to throw the ball every down. And he wound up making a big play to Christian Watson, which kind of made Eagle fans a little nervous about it. With 8 minutes left, they scored, make it 37-30. But then the Eagles responded with a drive to get a couple first downs. They got the field goal, and it kind of chased them away again, even though Green Bay made a gallant effort again at the end. You look at the final score, and you're right. They should have put this team away a lot sooner with the dominance they had in the trenches tonight. But it's another win. They did what it takes, and they were really impressive running the football. So I got to look at that. There's so much to unpack. There's so many little plays that we can go over in this game. It was a crazy game tonight. So the Eagles, they're 10-1.
Keep piling up the wins. Keep piling up the wins. You have Minnesota bird dogging you at 9-2. You have Dallas lurking in the shadows, and of course you have a rematch coming up with them. You still have 2 games against the Giants. And, they're a better team than the Giants, but hey, it's a divisional game. You just never know what could happen in divisional games. I don't care how you get to the W finish line. Just get to the W, man.
Yeah. Listen, a couple of, we had to mention these. A couple of injuries happened in this game. C.J. Gardner-Johnson goes down, and we'll have to get an update on that. But the ship came in. The steamship, Reed Blankenship.
Oh, this kid.
Came in with a couple of nice plays. And, of course, Landon Dickerson got out of there. So we have to catch up with what happened there with Landon Dickerson.
Well, from what I'm hearing initially, there's a possibility CJ might have a cracked rib. Now, obviously, they still have to go through a few more tests before that's determined. I hope that's not the case. And, we looked at the hit that he took time and time again. Initially, Seth, you thought he hit the receiver, Christian Watson, with his chest. But as we looked at the replay, he caught him with his shoulder. And I'm trying to think, how in the world could he have possibly cracked the rib if that is the case? I mean, he was going full bore at him, but he bounced off of him.
Yeah, it's just the angle. He never got to a place where he could dip his shoulder down and strike the blow with his shoulder. He kind of hit him body to body. And, it could have been an elbow, it could have been an arm, it could have been a myriad of things that just hit you the wrong way. You just got to make sure. And again, that comes from, not tackling, not hitting in practice.
Right.
So, you're kind of unconscious of some of those things. And then the other thing is, you don't want to get your shoulder or your helmet too low, and mess around when that guy is trying to absorb a blow.
Right.
He ducks his head, you duck yours, and then you helmet to helmet, and it's a 15-yard penalty. These are the types of things, these are the types of injuries that occur, when you have the rules set up the way that they're set up. Guys are trying to make sure that they keep their neck and their head out of the hit, and by doing so, that opens everything else up.
True.
You got shoulder pads on your shoulders for a reason.
Yeah.
You're supposed to lower that shoulder and put that shoulder on the ball or on the ball carrier, and he didn't. And I think it's going to cost him a couple of weeks. If he's got broken ribs, man, we might not. They may wind up putting him on IR, and that's a big loss.
Well, you know what, Seth? You make a valid point, but because defensive players are so afraid of what is and what isn't a strike zone now, you try to alter your body a certain way, and we see more defenders getting hurt because you're not allowed to tackle the way you were taught to tackle 10 years ago.
Well, because you're not responsible for how the offense reacts. Like, if I went to hit you right now, the first thing you would do is what?
It's flinch.
You would flinch,
curl up.
And you would do that.
Right.
So when I conversely come to tackle you and you're about to absorb a blow, the first thing that you do is you do that. You lower your head, you lower your center of gravity. So I could do everything right by trying to strike you at the chest level.
Right.
But because you moved down a foot, okay, and I did everything right, and my head strikes your head, now it's a 15-yard penalty on me.
Absolutely.
And to me, that's wrong. Now, if I come at you and from 5 yards away, 2 yards away, I duck my head and I launch myself at you, now that's a legitimate penalty.
Right.
But if I'm just trying to play the game and I'm trying to do everything right as a defensive player and I'm targeting the right area and you drop your head, I shouldn't be penalized for you, flinching. Don't flinch.
But 8 times out of 10, you are now.
Absolutely. You're
because
right.
of the way they changed the
You're
rules.
right.
I had to bring up one other thing, and, we saw it. Keyshawn Nixon. On kickoff return.
Oh, my God.
And you know what?
Goodness.
The Eagles got that first touchdown, their first possession of the second half. They survived a big return by that kid to open up the second half. Green Bay got the ball first. But my man had 172 yards and returns on 5 kick returns with a long of 53. And we've been talking about the special teams for a while now. They have, if you look at
Mike,
one weak area of this team, it's got to be that.
Mike, that's 34 yards per return. Do you realize he brought a kick out from 5 yards and 7 yards deep?
Yes.
I mean,
in a 7-yard, he returned it 53 yards.
53 yards. And I'm like, at some point in time, see, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Green Bay last year. Green Bay went to the playoffs last year knowing that their special teams was a weakness. The special teams was their Achilles heel. And it wound up costing them in the NFC Championship game, and if they don't figure out how to get this fixed now, okay, when you get down to the last 4 teams, the NFC, AFC Championship, you got the best coordinators against, the best players and the best offensive and defensive players, okay? These kinds of mistakes that they're making and the things that they're doing on special teams is going to wind up being a liability. The only positivity that they have on the special teams right now is Jake Elliott. The only. And I'm just going to wipe that missed extra point off the board when you boot a 54-yarder, to really shut it all down. I'm going to move that out of the way. But everything else that you see, it's like I'm looking at the coverage. When you're on kick coverage and you're on punt coverage and you don't see a guy anywhere near the returner, that tells me the guys aren't running down the field. There's no sense of urgency to get your behind down there and make sure that you get that guy tackled.
They're jogging to a space. That's it.
And at some point in time, Nick Sirianni is going to have to make somebody an example to get this group to wake up, because there's only so much coaching that you can do. Okay, the coach puts you in position. The players have to go out and execute. Now, I don't know whether it's the scheme or whether the players just ain't getting it done. But those guys that play on special teams, that's all they do. They back up and they play special teams. And they got about 15 plays a game. And you mean to tell me you can't play with your damn hair on fire for 15 plays? You don't deserve to be on the NFL roster, man.
Plain and simple, in a day and age where kickoff return basically has been neutralized because the league has so many concerns about concussions, when a guy takes a ball out of the end zone 5 yards and 7 yards deep, what did they see in the film? Yeah. This kid, Keyshawn Nixon, 5 returns, 172 yards. He had a 41-yard return and a 53-yard return from 5 to 7 yards deep in the end zone.
Let me tell you something. If I was playing special team, I wouldn't even want to go to that meeting tomorrow. I wouldn't want to be on it.
If I was a coordinator, I wouldn't even show up tomorrow. I'd tell him I'm sick, some bubonic plague or something.
All right, let's talk about, you brought up Jake Elliott and the 54-yarder, but there was a moment before we got to that, and the moment was that they were going to go for it on 4th and 3 at the Green Bay 36, and we're kind of screaming at the TV, trust your kicker. I mean, this kid can kick the ball from that distance, and they had to call a timeout to arrive at that decision.
No, they did. He did that last week where he tried to draw him off sides, and then he sent the offense back out, and they actually went for it on 4th down and converted it. And I guarantee you he thought about it. He thought about it for a second. Then he remembered, you got an all-pro kicker in Jake Elliott over there that can kick the ball 54 yards.
But that wasn't his initial thought.
No, it wasn't.
And that's what that's what bothered me a little, or shocked me a little bit. His initial thought was he was going to go for it there. They were only up 7. A field goal puts the game away, even though it got hairy at the end. But they finally arrived at the right decision.
I think they were basically trying to see if they could draw him off sides. It was a 4th and short situation, but you're right. Initially,
it was 4th and 3.
Right. So I think they were trying to draw him offside.
Yeah.
And then he called a timeout. He sent a kicker in. The difference 10 points.
Come on, man. Hey, listen.
I was looking at his face.
They ran the ball for 7.4 yards per carry. It wasn't outside the realm of possibility.
I guess not. But there's a strategy to a game, and I think I was looking at his face, and I actually believed he thought he wanted to go for that. And now maybe the afterthought came in, but he looked sure enough like he went like that, like let's go, and we were both going, well, no, I don't know about that. And they finally got the field goal. So It's all good. The Eagles win it again. And again, we're talking about what their game plan was. The first drive of the game, they came out pass, and then all of a sudden, Jalen Hurts just took over in that first drive and just ripped them apart with major gains to put them up 7-0.
Mike, I'm telling you, this began when they were down in the fourth quarter against the Colts last week, and they re-realized, I think they always knew it, they wanted Jalen Hurts, I believe, the first half of the season to prove to them that he could throw the ball, because they knew that he could do this.
Yeah.
But when they got when it came crunch time last week, and they tried everything that they could try, and they couldn't figure out how to foil that Colts defense, they just said, all right, Jalen, go out there and do what you do. And then they came into this game and realized right away that, man, from a numbers perspective, and that's really all it is, it's a numbers game. When you see these quarterbacks being able to run, it's a numbers game, because the guy that's responsible for him is the free safety. He's lined up 15 to 20 yards deep, and he can't defend that guy. So then you get man blocking across the board and a quarterback that can run and make guys miss the way that Jalen Hurts can miss. He's a weapon. My only reservation is I don't need to see him run the ball 17 times to win a game, because sooner or later the law averages say that he's going to take a hit that's going to be detrimental to the team, because they're not going or getting where they want to go without him under center.
You almost took that hit tonight in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it's like, it's all fun and games until you get your eye poked out. I understand. I understand that whole thing about Jalen Hurts, but again, they had a spy on him. They tried to spy the rookie, and he just danced past them. He had runs at 24 and 27 in that first drive. His first 3 carries was 60 yards. So, I mean, that's a pretty good start, right?
Well, they had 69 yards rushing on the first drive of the game.
Yeah.
Okay. That's demoralizing in itself. Jalen Hurts did what we've grown accustomed to watching Jalen Hurts do this season. Use every ounce of athleticism that he has when it's called upon. Mm-hmm. Now, sometimes we may not agree with it. Sometimes we cringe because of how many hits he's taking, especially when they call those quarterback draw plays up the middle. Why would you send your quarterback up the middle in the teeth of a defense when you know they're laying in the woods trying to take shots at him? Luckily enough, Green Bay's run defense was so porous, he had plenty of lanes to run through and get down when he had to. But a better defensive scheme. Now, they're going to play a better defense next week in Tennessee. I guarantee you Tennessee won't have all those lanes that Jalen Hurts can run through that he ran through tonight.
Well, I mean, I don't know at this point. He seems to run through everything. I mean,
there's no question about it.
I mean, there was the third drive. The Packers took a 14-13 lead. They had a 3rd and 2. Boom, end from 41.
Right.
And it's like you can't stop that.
No, you can't.
Well, I'm telling you, what they do is they really put the defense in conflict, especially when they have the tight end off the ball and they snap the ball and they send the tight end across. See, when you send that tight end across pre-snap, what you're effectively doing is you're changing the strength from left to right. So now the defense has time to adjust to that. But when Jalen Hurts snaps the ball and that guy goes across, you're effectively changing the strength, and the defense doesn't have an opportunity to adjust to it. So now you get an extra blocker on that side of the ball. And now you put the defensive end in conflict. Do I take the guy that's coming? Do I take Jalen Hurts? Is he handing the ball off? You got all of these things going through their mind. And then the Eagles' offensive staff is just masterful at giving it to you and then running it just regular without bringing the other guy over. So they keep you thinking and they keep you confused all the time. It's going to take a monumental defensive effort to figure out a way to keep Jalen Hurts from doing what he's doing. Now, they figured out how to keep him in the pocket. They sacked him twice tonight, and they made him throw away a lot of balls. They didn't let him get out scrambling the ball. It was the call run plays that really did Green Bay in tonight.
Yep.
Can Aaron Sipos, should he collect a check for his efforts tonight? He had one punt. There were 3 punts in the whole game tonight.
There's nothing wrong with that, okay? Let's just be happy. Let's just be happy that the Eagles were, right around 50 to 55%, on third down conversions. I think they were like 8 for 15 or something like that, because they haven't been that good. You know, I mean, I know they live right around 43 to 46%, and that's respectable, but it's not great. You know, so if I'm not seeing Siposs punt the ball, I don't have a problem with that, because that means that the Eagles are converting, you know, third downs, or they're scoring points, you know, via the touchdown or via field goal. So I'm not. Hey, listen, let him have his check.
I'm great with that point. I just wonder if he's going to take a shower after tonight. You know, he came on the field one time to
hey, listen, the Eagles scored a lot of points tonight, Mike.
That's all right.
Isn't he the one that holds for Jake Elliott?
Yeah. You know what? Considering how he's punted this year, I don't mind him sitting on the sideline most of this game.
I hear you. All right, so you brought up the C.J. Gardner point, and it's a great point because he's been playing great. Obviously, he leads the league in interceptions. But the rookie Blankenship comes in. Now, the only time we saw him, he committed a dumb penalty on his special teams, which was his noteworthy play of the season. All of a sudden, he comes in, and he looks like he knows what he's doing. He made a great play on that interception, stepping in front of that receiver, and he chased the guy and made a tremendous hit towards the sideline. So what do you think, Seth?
I love it. I think that, see, these are the types of situations, every time that a guy gets injured, it's an opportunity for someone else to step up and show the coaching staff what you can do, okay? I think the Eagles have been waiting for Kevon Wallace to, like, grow up and show out for a long time. I think this is, his third or fourth year on the team?
Yeah.
And they've been waiting for him to grow up. And then all of a sudden, this Blankenship kid just comes out of nowhere, steps in, foils Aaron Rodgers, steps in front of him, in front of the tight end, and intercepts the ball. He's coming downhill, laying lumber on people all night. He had one bad play on defense tonight, and that was it. He just took a bad angle on that ball where Jordan Love hit Christian Watson coming across. He took a bad angle and underestimated the 4.3 speed of Christian Watson, and he ran away from him it wasn't even fun.
And that's what I worry about.
Right.
Are other receivers going to run away from him? I don't really know that. What kind of speed does he have?
No, listen, he's got decent enough speed. Now, you see the kid run. He can run. But when you're trying to track a 4.3 guy and you don't take the right angle, there's no recovering from that.
Right. You know what? Blankenship's going to make people forget about Wallace real quick. If he continues to play the way he played tonight, you can forget about, because
I'm not worried about that part of it.
I don't think Wallace is.
I'm not worried about the Wallace part. I'm worried about whether he can replace C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
No, we're worried.
That's what I'm worried about.
We're worried about all of it, Mike, because you're talking about, when you lose one guy, you're talking about depth. Because another unproven entity has to step in, and the other unproven entity is really one play away from having to step in for him. Yeah. So it is a worry. But to D. Gunn's point, and to your point, it'll either make Kevon Wallace step up now that he sees that someone has superseded him on the roster that's 2-3 years younger than him. He'll either raise his level, and you saw him play well at the end of the game, or he'll go into the shell and he won't be on this roster next year. It's just that simple.
See, Blankenship played like a hungry young player tonight. He hasn't got many opportunities, and all of a sudden he gets his opportunity, and he played with that hunger tonight. He makes a great play on the interception, made some great hits in this game tonight as well. Can he replace the CJ? Well, CJ has the experience on him. CJ knows to look for little things that this kid still has to learn to look for. He's going to make some plays, but he's also going to make some mistakes. Coordinators are going to identify what he's doing back there, his strengths and weaknesses, and they're going to utilize that against him. But if he plays anywhere close to what he's playing tonight, I feel a little bit better about him being back there for the duration of CJ being out.
All right, I want to talk about
hold up, Mike. You know what I love about him? Is that he wasn't afraid to make a play.
Exactly.
Okay. Most guys would have let Tunyon catch that ball and come up and hit him, okay, and make the tackle. He believed his eyes and believed what he saw, and fear didn't exist in him to take a chance and make a play. And I'd rather have a player like that than the player that plays it safe every play.
That's a really good point. I want to talk about Aaron Rodgers in a second, but first I'm going to tell the folks who are watching this show on 6abc.com or the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel, here's a chance to win tickets for the next Eagles game from our friends at Pond Lehocky. Let's hear how.
Hey Philly, it's Tom Giordano from Pond Lehocky Giordano. Be sure to follow Pond Lehocky on Instagram for your opportunity to win free Eagles home game tickets for the rest of the season. You heard that right. We're giving away free tickets all season long. And guess what? We're going to give away tickets to the playoffs and the Super Bowl. So make sure you're following us. And as always, thanks for watching the Lehocky Postgame Show. Go Birds.
All right.